When the collapse of the Soviet Union hurled the republics of Central Asia onto the global stage, the region was all but unknown to the outside world. Its complicated modern history had transpired away from the gaze of the world, with its events little noticed and the sources hidden away under lock and key. There was little expertise on the region, and outside observers had few ways of making sense of it. Initial reactions cast the new states as artificial, weak, lacking in any history or legitimacy, and with a potential for insecurity and instability. Commentators pulled out references from the past to make sense of the unexpected present. Hackneyed notions of the Silk Road and the Great Game were put to use to make sense of the newly emerged states, and exoticization was an easy fix. Commentary on Central Asia evoked vast, undulating grasslands filled with nomadic horsemen, the minarets and cupolas of medieval architecture, and natives in folkloric costumes. To be clear, this exoticization is not a peculiarly Western phenomenon. A Japanese documentary from the 1980s also cast the region in exotic light, with long shots of camels trudging into empty deserts to the New Age music of Kitaro. Today, Xinjiang is an exotic domestic destination for tourists from China proper, while in the wider Muslim world, the names Samarkand and Bukhara evoke medieval grandeur and luxury that again are not of the here and now. At its best, exoticism romanticizes Central Asia and places it beyond the reach of history. At its worst, it can render the region a blank slate on which one can inscribe anything one wishes. Central Asia has served as a locale of a number of Hollywood action movies featuring unsavory characters. While in the 2006 movie Borat, the British comedian Sacha Baron Cohen used the misadventures of a fictional Kazakh reporter visiting the United States to present a critique of Western naivety and gullibility. But the Kazakhstan represented in the film had nothing to do with the actual country. The ostensibly Kazakhstani scenes in the film were shot in Romania, and the film presented a completely made-up idea of Kazakhstan to its viewers. For Cohen, Kazakhstan's task was simply to embody the exotic, the inscrutable, the other. Some of this was perhaps inevitable. For much of the modern period, Central Asia was invisible to the outside world. The Eurasian landmass had been divided up over the course of the 19th century, between the two contiguous land empires of Russia and China. On the political map of the world, Russia and China appeared as singular entities. It was easy to see each of them as somehow homogeneous, rather than the highly variegated imperial spaces they were. This was indeed what happened. For most of the existence of the Soviet Union, the outside world knew it simply as Russia. On my first visit to Washington, D.C., I was surprised to see a sign in the metro pointing to the Russian embassy. It was 1984 and the Cold War was getting quite hot. But American institutions, let alone the American public, could not tell the difference between Russia and the Soviet Union, and remained oblivious to the multinational character of their main adversary. Xinjiang was, if anything, even more invisible, simply a part of an inscrutable and exotic domain called China. Yet Central Asia was a distant backyard, even within each empire, and little known even to those who specialized on one or both of the empires. The Tsarist regime treated Central Asia as a militarily sensitive region and restricted travel by foreign subjects there. Its Soviet successors were even more secretive, and for most of the Soviet period, Central Asia was inaccessible to outsiders. I grew up in Pakistan, on the other side of the Pamir Mountains from Central Asia. Tashkent, the biggest city in Central Asia at the time, was a mere 1,200 kilometers from my hometown of Lahore, but it might as well have been on a different planet. Travel was very difficult and news of current developments in short supply. It was this sense of wonder about a land so near yet so far, one so familiar yet very different, that first attracted me to Central Asia.